What's up guys, these are going to be the top 5 plus best resources for Diablo 4 to get you ahead of the game. So starting right off, there's going to be multiple websites here and I'm going to go ahead and show you guys what each one does better. Even though some of these websites have multiple things that you can do that other sites do, some of them just simply do it better. So starting right off, d4builds.gg. What do I like this website for? Well, it's great for a lot of things and we're going to be actually using this site multiple times for this video. But the thing that I wanted to start off the video with, which is what most people use different websites for, is essentially the build guides. d4builds.gg is excellent. You can just easily see what's the things that you're kind of looking for in terms of pieces of gear. It's really clean. Now some websites there's more clutter than others. Some people prefer different writing styles in terms of like when you click on any rogue guide or any of the other guides, you may have a bombardment of text, but you know, it's kind of up to you on what you like to see. And what's nice with some of these with the skill trees, they show off different variations, but for the most part the good websites are going to be d4builds.gg for builds, as well as Icy Veins, and on top of that we have Max Roll. So those are some of the great websites for builds, which is what most people really want to go ahead and, you know, look up. But on top of that, I want to go over the Helltides. This is another great website and it's called Helltides, which again, everything will be linked down below. But the Tortured Gift of Mysteries is one of the best things that you can get in the game when you're farming your Helltides, which is where, you know, I've been dropping those videos where we're getting like 5 legendaries or ancestrals and sacreds off of one chest. So where do you find these chests? Again, these are the Tortured Gifts of Mysteries. So someone put together a little picture over here on Reddit. So I'll also include this down below, but I also want to mention that you're better off using a website, and I'll go over the website. So this is kind of the locations of these special chests. Now, these are possible locations. It doesn't spawn in 100% of the time. If you are using this website, which is called helltides.com, when it's up, because right now there's no Helltide, but it will tell you when the Helltide starts. You can actually put a alert notification in the top right. There's a button to hit, and that way you can have a sound. So it's starting in 35 minutes. But once it actually starts, you'll start to see where people are locating, because this is a live service game. The chests always don't appear in the same location. So what you're going to be doing with this website is be able to see in the green dot, this is where the chest is located that's going to give you that super loot, okay? So that's what this website is for. Again, it's called helltides.com. The next thing I wanted to go ahead and actually talk about is actually d4builds.gg and clicking on the interactive map. A lot of people ask me, where do I find the Lilith statues? This is a great website to find out any of the dungeons, any of the waypoints, or anything that you really want. This website basically has everything, but I like another website for the dungeons, and I'll go into that in a second. So starting right off, what's really great with this website is you can click in and out of things. So like if I just want to find the altars of Lilith, I can do that. If I'm just doing one region, I can do that, so there's not much clutter. Some other websites, they're less clean than this. I really like the map in terms of finding all the dungeons, the strongholds, all of those things. This one also does have a mystery chest location here, but I wanted to provide the other one just since it's a picture. Now this one, obviously, yeah, it's just like one location. So again, it's kind of nicer, and choose the one that you want because there are so many great websites and resources out there. The next thing I want to talk about is d4builds.gg, once again, for the Paragon board. This is one of the most helpful tools, and it's more so for the end game, obviously, but it's so helpful. So one thing that's really good is you can see what the glyphs do at every single level. You know, most people, they just want to see what does it do at level 1 and what does it do at level 20, because that's the min and maxing. So you're able to see what these nodes do. And what's really great is some nodes, they'll say like you'll get an additional bonus, right, within 40, you know, within the radius of 40 strength or 40, you know, intelligence, whatever the requirement is, right, or 25 of willpower, whatever it requires, it tells you what is required. And another thing that's really important, once you get the glyph to level 15, it increases the radius. So it really helps you to see like, well, okay, well, if I had this glyph right now, can I use this with willpower? And I could just type in the word willpower and it'll show me how much willpower I can get. Now it doesn't tell you how much is allocated, which in the game it does tell you that, but over here you're gonna have to manually count that. There's probably a website, maybe if there is, let me know down below, that actually calculates it, because if I'm able to put these points in. And one thing I like with this board that is nicer, some boards force you to connect from the bottom, and if you're just doing some testing and you just want to see like how many nodes it would take, then this website is superior in that section. So it'd be really nice if this website over here would tell you, you know, how much willpower you've allocated, right? But it's really nice to be able to type things in, and I've always mentioned this for anyone that's doing any build, add all the Paragon boards and type in what you're looking for. If you're looking for extra resource, extra different stats, maybe you're looking for cooldown reduction on a skill, type that in. It makes things way easier. But what I really like this for is specifically the radius, and on top of that, in every single Paragon board that you put in at the top left corner, this is what's so helpful. You see how it tells me in the glyph radius. This over here will explain in this glyph radius, if I socket something in, and of course they're going to be considering it at level 15, which is again the biggest radius for most glyphs, unless there's some special ones. It'll tell me how much willpower I can achieve, so I can maybe get that bonus that requires strength, whatever, right? So it's really, really helpful for that specifically, but it's probably one of the best websites that I'm aware of in terms of how clean it is. Again, the only thing I wish it had is specifically being able to tell me how much I've already allocated if I'm putting in the points. Another thing I do want to mention, if you do use this website, because I already mentioned, you do not need to actually do the Paragon board. If you're watching anyone's guides, and I've seen this, sometimes people accidentally don't complete the board, as in there are going to be missing nodes, and it's simply because the board does not force you to connect. So be aware of that if you do use this website. The next website I want to talk about is MapGenie.io. It's actually very familiar with other video games. I really like this website. If you're playing any video game, this website is awesome. So what I like this one for, even though you can use the D4 builds GG for the dungeons, if I'm looking for any aspect's name, right? Or if I'm looking for any specific stat, if I'm looking for, let's say, resource, or let's say armor, right? I can just type in, oh, that's right. This is how you spell armor over here, and NA. You spell it differently. But anyways, I can type in like whatever I'm looking for. So let's say I want like increased armor. I can click on this right here, and it'll show me, I know my face is kind of blocking it, but it'll show me the exact location. And this is so much cleaner than just going over the dungeons, and just the way it orients itself. I like this one so much better for looking at the aspects, and you can browse through all the aspects. And another thing I really like this website, you have a class category. So let's say I'm playing like rogue, right? I would just scroll down. Well, I want to look for a very specific one on a class or whatever you need to do. This one does it excellent. So yeah, that is MapGenie.io. It's again basically just used for the aspects for me. Another thing that I really liked, some of the quests in this game, I'm sure you guys have noticed that it require you to do an emote, or like you might not know the exact location of a quest. Max Roll is excellent for doing quests. So what they have screenshots where it tells you exactly what you need to do. Even though it kind of tells you in game, sometimes you have to do an emote and they'll tell you what you need to do, and they have this little picture here that shows you kind of what you need to do as you progress. And sometimes you miss out on like one little item that you need to find, and they have this little picture here that you can click, and to access that you click on this one. Click for a detailed quest objective map. You click on it and this shows you exactly the steps, and it's just so much more helpful. I've also technically used YouTube. If I'm stuck on a quest, I might just YouTube it. It depends on like, you know, how hard the quest is, because sometimes it'll say collect like 3 flowers or 3 demons, or and like you don't know where the exact location is. This one helps out, but sometimes YouTube to see the video can help out as well. So yeah, YouTube, another great excellent source. Literally type in the quest name and someone's got a video. Okay, I was using it because some of them require you again to do an emote, and that really helps out. This next one up, oh man, I could probably make a video dedicated to this. So this is called Damage Bucket. This is one of the most important things in the game to not miss out on. Okay, so what this is these are damage multipliers, and this is the most up-to-date one I believe that exists in the game. Keep in mind these do get updated. So how this works is it explains how to get your damage to have multiplicative versus additive. The long story to the shorter version of the story is you want to get as much damage as possible, obviously, right? But you may want to not get too much damage in one category because it groups them up, giving you actually less damage. So what I mean by that is if I was to build a character and I had no vulnerable damage, right? And I only had all of these stats, one of these stats with, let's say, plus like 50% damage would be less valuable than getting just a 10% into vulnerable damage. So you have to factor that in when you're making builds. It kind of explains every single class, and some of them have like the star. By the way, I'm just going to mention the star is some skills will benefit off of attack speed while some simply will not, because it's just part of like the way the damage multiplier works. But again, this is ideally what you want to be looking at in terms of any build. You want to make sure that you have X% bonus damage. You're going to obviously have main stats, so you don't even need to factor that one in. Attack speed bonus is great as well, depending on the skill. And then you want some sort of crit strike damage for most builds. And then you have like your huge damage bucket, which is like damage versus healthy, fortified, all of these different things. And then you have vulnerable damage. So you want to try to get at least a few points into every single one of these. Is again, it almost requires a dedicated video, but they're too long, didn't watch, just get one in each category. The next thing I want to go over is the Diablo 4.life database. So again, I'm gonna have all these listed. So I like this site just to being able to see all of the unique, because if I'm building a character, sometimes eventually I get to a point where I just want to know what exists for this character. What other cool builds can I make? Or if you're like me and you're like, okay, I'm looking at building a second character, but I don't know what like I want to build. I want to go not only look at the builds that I've shown you guys, again, D4 builds, GG, Icy Veins, Max Roll. I'm not going to just look at that. I'm going to look at the end game uniques, because there comes to a point where you're tired of playing the same thing, and some of these items can be really cool. Like some of the sorceress ones, there's like one where like the fireball can start bouncing. Some of them, it just does more damage. This is what I was talking about, where fireball now bounces and it does different things. things, and this can really add to your playstyle, and you can see maybe future builds out of this that may not be meta, but they might be super fun. But just as a warning, some of these uniques are very, very rare in the game. And then next up, again, I really like Maxroll's list, because right now, there's not a very huge amount of people. In fact, as I'm creating this video, I don't think anyone has this item. So in terms of like the items here, it doesn't show you the numbers. Now on Maxroll, some numbers get shown, and the reason why is because legitimately, as of right now recording, there's only one person in the entire world that we are aware of that has gotten the Shaco, the Harlequin quest that actually dropped. There's zero information about the grandfather one that's actually dropped. So I like this because it shows you the stats. Like I can at least read how much damage and how much of the other things that are added. Like this item right here, Ring of the Starless Skies, probably one of the best rings in the entire game, but some of the data is shown off right here. So at least we have something to see. And it's a really quick way to just glance over, hey, I'm playing Barbarian. What are the special Barbarian uniques? And again, the other website kind of does the same thing, but I like the way that Maxroll has ordered it. And lastly, this one, I just kind of like it's just the official Blizzard website, but just going to the news, you'll see that like there's patch notes listed all the time. So these resources are all very important to kind of check out. Once in a while, I check the Blizzard news one because as a content creator, I'm trying to give you guys the most up-to-date balance patch, the buffs and the nerfs and all those things. But I'll list all these down below in the pinned comment, and hopefully this will help you guys out, especially the Helltide one. I'm always browsing the Helltide one, and especially trying to do the map over on D4 builds, like just being able to clear out all of the altars. It's just super helpful. Anyways, that's gonna wrap things up. If you guys enjoyed the video, drop a like on it, subscribe to the channel, and let me know down below, are there any other great resources and other websites that I had not covered, because you know I play the game myself. I want to know. Anyways, take care, and I'll catch you in the next video. Peace.